Yeva says with an eerie calmness that true friends should never reject each other. At that exact second, Yango painfully realizes the terrible truth. Cruelly abandoned by her family, Yeva was never able to form healthy social bonds. He believes that friendship means exactly this. Giving up everything just to keep that sick relationship alive. Yango, Yevea is explaining the situation. He says friendship never works like that. Friends must be strictly equal and must use their own free will instead of being someone else's puppet in the future. He warns against obeying blindly. Soon after, their strange training ends, and they cheerfully agree to meet again the next day. On the way home, Yango walks with a grin because the training went perfectly. But what this naive boy doesn't know is that a couple of eerie Secret Service agents are lurking just around the corner. But his instincts are screaming that something is very wrong. He changes course immediately. Then a strange little girl suddenly blocks his path and asks if he wants some candy. Yango wonders what a child is doing out alone at this strange hour, which is extremely dangerous and late. The little guy naively explains that he's on a weird school assignment, and needs to give out candy to strangers on the street. His teacher strictly ordered him to hand out every single candy in the pack and said if he failed, he wouldn't get any reward at all. Yango finds it truly admirable that even such tiny students are working like crazy. The boy takes the candy and says he'll drop it off at home. But the moment he puts that damn candy in his mouth, he instantly realizes how awful and strange it tastes. His body slowly collapses, surrendering to the darkness. Suddenly, he wakes up with a giant leap. But he sees the creepy, mafia-like men in suits looming over him. Our poor hero is tied tightly to a massive bed like a lamb to the slaughter. Yango struggles to escape, but the straps are tightening around him. When the fact that he doesn't even know where he is hits his brain, the panic inside him simply skyrockets. Seeing the men dressed like agents in black, his mind freezes, and he desperately wonders what the hell he's supposed to do. Then a creepy woman turns toward me and says the precious one has awakened. Yango is absolutely terrified. With a major shock, he realizes the name behind this dark plot is actually Nan herself. His mind is slipping into a dark hole, trying to grasp how she could do this. The boy's breakdown is getting worse. Because Nan, stating he hates distractions, orders the others to get out immediately in a chilling voice. While Yango screams desperately at the top of his lungs, the woman indifferently returns to her task. Soon after, he slowly sets down his pen and locks those predator eyes directly onto our trembling boy. While harshly questioning how she slipped away last time, he cruelly asks how she dares insult him so boldly now in his own bed, in his own massive house, wondering if she's naive enough to think this rebellion will go unpunished. Hearing this, Yango suddenly exhales in relief, realizing his kidneys won't be stolen, and it's just a punishment for escaping. He asks what this psycho woman exactly wants from him and fearfully questions if she has an obsessive romantic interest in him. It clearly shows he's already looked into it deeply. This terrible woman is the CEO of the massive Hong Fong group and the absolute head of her family. Although his family was involved in dark illegal mafia business in the past, they turned to legal trade and wealth right after building the massive empire. Darkness holding is at its peak today, and Nan is hailed like a national goddess, even if those past bloody crimes can't be erased. Yango says she's an incredibly powerful, admirable woman, surrounded by pathetic men ready to die for her, but insists he's not one of those foolish slaves. He says he just wants a quiet, ordinary life, so she should let him go. To him, this nonsense is nothing more than cheap bargaining. But they don't spoil. On the contrary, a psychopathic smile appears on his lips. She whispers the boy is far more interesting than expected, adding it's because he isn't the real Yango. Hearing this deadly truth, Yango deeply feels his soul is about to leave his trembling body in pain. Because the woman hit the bullseye. Finally, a short time later, Nan frees our hero from her bonds. Our confused and terrified kid says he's not the real Yango, frantically asking what kind of nonsense the woman is talking about. Nan returns to her massive chair with that eerie calmness, saying she's a smart woman who's done thorough, dirty research on him. They highlight that things have changed significantly in a very short time. Then, in that mocking tone, he asks if the poor kid knows how disgusting things actually were back then. Yango looks at him in fear, waiting for him to finish speaking. Because he knows perfectly well that the woman is absolutely right. Nan is laying out the boy's entire tragic family history. They ruthlessly detail how he lived like a loser in a single-parent home, and was raised in hardship by his poor father, who worked like a dog to care for him. His father gave him harsh lessons on how to be a proper man. Yango was a top-tier nerd at school, and with his smooth, angelic, baby-faced looks, he became everyone's secret crush. People always described him as kind, charming, sweet, and very thoughtful. But recently, everything about her changed. Now he's a wild, sharp, and rebellious dirtbag who won't take orders from anyone. It's completely different from before, in every way. Yango painfully realizes just how careless he's been since the blood moon. He never imagined such a terrible nightmare would happen to him. He was so obsessed with adapting to this wild world that he forgot to research the strange and dark past of the body he had infiltrated. Still, he can't quite figure out how this crazy woman reached the terrible conclusion that he's not the real Yango. Our hero, with his pride slightly stung, tells the woman quite harshly that he doesn't understand why he should be so excited just because she's a little famous. Nan smirks and says that it's all a big lie. Actually, he should have been crazy excited because he was that woman's biggest fan. In that moment of disaster, Yango realizes how badly he screwed up by not researching his past at all. Nan gleefully whispers that the ex-Yango declared his undying love for her in front of everyone. If he didn't believe it, he could check his old, cringy social media accounts. Jiang Hao dove into the embarrassing dark trash of his past and found those nauseating posts one by one, where his old loser self salivated over Nan and rambled on about her being a perfect goddess. He even wrote about his dreams of being a dog worthy of her. Jiang Hao was mortified. His former body was far more pathetic and wretched than he ever imagined. He was naive enough to think this sudden mutation would go unnoticed by anyone, including Nan. Nan closed the distance like a hunter, noting he no longer acted like that same pathetic bug. He was imagining dissociative identity disorder, memory loss, or even darker scenarios. Because only a disgusting madness like this could explain such identity theft. But Nan knew all too well that even brain rot or mental illness could never explain Jiang Hao's sudden, superhuman physical abilities. He immediately highlighted this chilling detail, confronting Jiang Hao on how that trashy streamer managed to break into the game's top 100 players in just a month with psychopathic speed, especially with clear evidence on his account that he never played it before. How did he survive that bloody brawl with brutal gang leaders unscathed, having never thrown a single punch in his life? It was something absurd that even an ordinary high school girl couldn't do. This proved she wasn't suffering from a simple mental disorder or personality shift, but rather, what happened to her was chillingly real. This was a much darker power, like a soul swap. Jiang Hao chuckled angrily and argued that he was completely out of his mind for having such a theory. But deep down, he knew the only savage reason for this deduction. It was no coincidence Nan had reached this eerie conclusion. Jiang Hao instantly realized that this girl had definitely undergone a soul swap. But Jiang Hao didn't have everything handed to him instantly. Instead, he proposed a devious, hypothetical scenario. If he were truly a freak who had traded his soul, exactly what kind of disgusting experiments would he want to perform on him? Nan stated that her greatest dream was to study that cursed anomaly called the blood moon, which occurs once every century. Jiang Hao realized with horror that this perverted girl was definitely on the right track. Nan explained that based on the previous secret survey on Jiang Hao, these sudden and perverted personality changes emerged a few days after the bloody moon. He believed she definitely had a morbid connection to this cursed phenomenon. Jiang Hao nervously questioned why he was so sure, while Nan promised that if he used his body as a lab rat in that perverted research, he would tell him every disgusting detail. Jiang Hao trembled with fear, but Nan coldly ordered him to calm down, for his miserable life was now entirely at her wicked fingertips. He whispered a false reassurance that he wouldn't perform disgusting tests on his brain or body. He claimed a diabolical contract lay there, with every dark clause written out, and if he studied those cursed lines closely, he'd surely accept this perverted offer with pleasure. Jiang Hao questioned which other freak was interested in this blood moon nonsense. But Nan smirked, knowing that only she swam in this eerie madness for now, as the subject was far too secret and chillingly tempting. Jiang Hao grabbed the demonic contract with trembling hands and mumbled that he was forced to examine it. Internally, he was terrified. He never imagined another freak in this world would know of that curse called the blood moon. Still, he couldn't grasp what kind of brutality this blood moon mission would bring, and he felt deep down that skipping the girl's offer was deadly risky. He knew it was impossible to figure out his true evil intentions right now, so he temporarily decided to watch the course of Yemi YouTube's wild game. Jiang Hao smugly mumbled that if he had no more nonsense to spew, he could go to hell, because it was late and his family might be wondering about his pathetic ass. He said he wouldn't let him rot too long in this deadly weight, but right then, Jiang Hao cut in, savagely hissing that he still had one more disgusting account left to settle. Suddenly, he lunged at his throat like a beast, twisting his hand and slamming his miserable body ruthlessly against the wall. Panicking like a mouse, Jiang Hao shrieked, asking for the purpose of this psychopathic harassment. With a perverted grin, he rubbed against her and forced her head onto his chest, whispering savagely into her ear that this was punishment for her previous insolence. Then he raised his wicked hand and delivered a massive, resounding slap to her pathetic backside. Jiang Hao shrieked in pain while clutching his hip, thinking the man was a total creep. With crushed pride, he ran home crying, muttering that he needed to focus on getting inside right away. Meanwhile, that maddening phone kept ringing incessantly and mercilessly, like psychological torture. When he finally reached his damn den, he announced his return in that puny voice. Just then, noticing his stepsister putting on her shoes to head out, he asked in shock where the hell she was going. Before the girl could even open her mouth, Kian rushed at her, screaming in frantic worry, and suddenly threw his arms tightly around the poor boy's neck. Jiang Hao realized at that moment that the girl would go out to find him. Deep down, he thanked the heavens like crazy for managing to squeeze into that house in time. He gave a lame apology for making her worry and asked where the geezers were. Kian softly whispered that they had already surrendered to a deep sleep coma. But then he questioned where the hell she was tooling around so late. Jiang Hao sweated like a rat as he spun a pathetic lie about a quick shopping trip and rambled about totally losing track of time. Knowing this lie sounded pathetically weak, he panickingly blurted out that he needed a hot shower and tried to scurry away like a mouse before Kian could brutally question him. But the girl stopped him, gripping his arm like a deadly vice, and in a chillingly fake innocent voice, asked like a poisonous snake if he'd been rubbing up against some girl while shopping, because of that woman's perfume lingering on him. Jiang Hao panicked and sniffed himself like a dog to check if he really smelled like a woman. He realized Odeline's perfume was as pungent as a chemical bomb and that he now literally reeks of that damn scent. He rambled about self-consciously blending into that disgusting crowd while trying to cover up this mess. So everything was quite ordinary. Of course, Chin doesn't seem to believe this story much. Watching him with worried eyes, she gently strokes his face. He warns him to be much more careful with the vultures around him and never let anyone take advantage of him in the future. Leaving the room to find him something clean to wear, while ordering him to get out of those damn clothes and into the shower. Right then, Boss Nin calls her assistant over, slides a paper across the table, and asks them to investigate this mysterious girl much more deeply. The target girl is none other than Jiang Hao's stepsister. Nan considers Jin's sudden entry into Jiang Hao's life to be a highly suspicious coincidence. He senses a definitely disturbing aura lingering around this girl. Back home, Jiang Hao takes those dirty clothes and takes a psychopathic deep breath. Her eyes darken with that dark flame of jealousy. He's muttering that he'll ruthlessly tear this damn shirt to pieces because it carries the scent of another bitch. After a relaxing shower, the moment Jiang Hao steps out, he notices Qin leaning over provocatively to grab something from the fridge. For a moment, he's rooted to the spot. He can't help but watch that dangerous scene before him and all. Then, trying to act as if nothing happened, he prepares to ask her if she wants something to drink. But like an excited little boy, his tongue trips and he suddenly mumbles that he just wants some milk. Right at that moment, his dirty thoughts betray him. The brain. The girl immediately leads him to her room under the highly suspicious excuse of helping him dry off. Before long, the two find themselves in Jiang Jin's mysterious lair. While Jiang Hao sits innocently at the computer, Qin Qin stands behind him, gently drying his wet hair. Suddenly, a notification pops up on the screen. Yanko's eyes are extremely attractive, but they pop wide open when he sees a message from a completely naked man. That strange message on the screen claims the man fell head over heels for the girl the very first moment he saw her. Plus, he's asking painlessly if you'll give him a chance. Yanko freezes in his tracks. The first thought that comes to mind is that this guy is definitely one of those weird adult artists. He even questions whether he should call the police. Qin Qin notices her shocked expression and panics, trying to fix the situation. He claims he saw that disgusting thing completely by accident. Then she asks him to reply on her behalf, telling that creep she's not interested at all because she already has a boyfriend. Yanko turns this moment of crisis into an opportunity to give some big brotherly advice. She emphasizes that the freaks posting such inappropriate photos online are never worth his precious time. He advises not to waste attention on such disgraceful types. Deeply moved by this protective gesture, Qin Qin smiles warmly and gives her a tight hug. Expressing an obsessive happiness over how jealous she is, Yanko makes a chilling promise that she'll never accept another man for the rest of her life. Right after this, as she heads to the shower, she tells him to turn off the light when he's completely finished with the computer. Alone in the room, Yanko suspiciously turns back to that damn computer screen. He catches a very strange detail on the screen. She sees her number is saved as Angel, and obsessively kept separate from everyone else. He was isolated from everyone else, as if Qin Qin wanted to keep him special in some sick way. Then her gaze slowly shifts toward that dark shelf in the room. She remembers with horror that book she saw there before, that dangerous romance novel about forbidden love between step-siblings. His heart beats in his chest with fear. Qin Qin was hit by a massive wave of panic, thinking he would never look at her in such a disgusting way. She's just a stepsister, and she really wants to be a good person. But deep down, something starting to stir terrifies him to death. The next day at school, Yanko sprawls out at his desk, enjoying the quiet morning break. He's leaning back, completely lost in his complex thoughts. His mind drifts away as he wonders what his next move should be. To himself, he admits that Qin Qin didn't put up much of a fight in that romantic thriller and surrendered easily. She was surprisingly bold toward him. But just as I'm sinking to the bottom of that sea of dark thoughts, someone suddenly shatters this deep silence. That brief moment of peace is cut short like a knife. When he turns his head, he finds Jiang right there, and this loser bully is standing all alone this time. With a threatening yet sly smile, Jiang mockingly reveals he heard Jiang Hao was streaming on the Devilfish platform. Right then and there, she challenges her to a ruthless popularity war that night. He's openly provoking him just to see which one will cough up more donations. But Jiang Hao has no interest in competing with such rookies. Jiang laughs annoyingly, thinking it's just him being arrogant. But Jiang Hao is relentlessly hurling insult after insult. He accuses him of being a one-eyed, pea-brained low-life fool who can barely even remember his own name. Every word hits like a slap, and Jiang starts to stutter in rage. With a smirk, Jiang Hao suggests that if he has such a stuttering problem, he should seek treatment at a nearby hospital immediately. Driven mad, Jiang vows that Jiang Hao will be the loser that night. Before Jiang Hao can turn down the challenge, Yilong suddenly storms onto the stage. He's cheering like crazy from the back of the line, getting Jiang Hao totally hyped up. He yells that he has no doubt he'll easily crush a low-level loser like Jiang in seconds. He claims Jiang Hao is way more popular and miles more handsome than him. Jiang storms off in anger, not forgetting to hurl one last threat behind him. While Yilong keeps pushing Jiang Hao to join the battle, Jiang Hao hasn't even the slightest desire to compete. Still, because everyone keeps dragging him into this mess, he finally has a breakdown and screams in despair. Because of that sweltering heat, he refuses to wear his iconic mask. Diving into the gaming world, as hours pass, victories come one after another as if served on a silver platter. As his team crushes their opponents every match, the chat explodes with messages of praise. Viewers are literally going crazy over how handsome he looks without his mask. They're declaring him a walking god. Right then, an eye-catching notification flashes on the screen. Someone skipped Jiang Hao luxury yacht. Faced with this maddening gift and its arrogant display of wealth, Jiang Hao knows full well this is no innocent act of generosity. This is a chilling warning from the darkness. Everyone's waiting for his answer, but that contract is like a death warrant. When Nan's insane conditions echo in her mind, she realizes that accepting this ticket to hell is pure suicide. His head throbs with anger as those sick details of the contract come to mind. According to the text, he has to throw his entire normal school life away, be dragged from his warm home to that damn research center, and bloodily tear up all his other agreements. Room and board are included in the salary. What a blessing! But for our poor Jiang Hao, this feels more like a luxury prison cell than a brilliant business deal. Furious, he throws that damn paper into the corner. Jumping at this suspicious and sick offer would be pure stupidity while the Blood Moon quest remains a mystery. Jiang Hao decides not to side with that psychopath Nan before uncovering the disgusting secret behind this dark game of death. He's waiting for that perfect moment to throw the offer in his face. As for the luxury he sent, he must pay back that massive fortune. But right now you're flat broke. Desperate for money, Jiang Hao brutally attacks every match, crushing all opponents one by one to seize the top spot in the bloody tournament. On the other side, that loser streamer Lin Zong is saying goodbye to his audience with that disgusting, fake smile on his face. The moment the broadcast ends, that cute mask slips, and his face twists with psychopathic rage. Growling like a rabid dog, he's muttering Jiang Hao's name. He swears he'll rip this new rival's head off. Because losing shatters his sick and inflated ego. Lin angrily grabs her phone and makes a dark call. He mumbles to the person on the line that he has a fresh victim and not to worry at all about that damn money. All they have to do is sweep this brat off the streets. Because Lin wants to brutally shatter the reputation of the Jiang Hao he hates and humiliate him. The next morning, remembering Qingqin's obsession with lilies, Jiang Hao wanders through the florist shop. Right then, two dangerous women emerge from the shadows, creeping toward their targets, ready to finish that fall task. But when Mo sees his prey's face, he freezes. The second he realizes the target is our troublesome Jiang Hao, he tells his partner in terror to call Nana. Back at base, Dark Queen Nan relaxes in her chair as her assistant bursts in, panicked. When it comes to Jiang Hao, it's a total emergency. Nan's hunter eyes light up instantly. The poor assistant spills the details on that sickening incident from minutes ago. It says this leech named Lin is obsessed with Jiang Hao and paid a fortune in blood money for those nasty set-up photos to ruin him. However, when Mo saw the boy was under Nan's protection, he fled from the suicide mission. Nano, with an icy voice, orders this man's immediate elimination. Moya's taking the ball for the rest. It gives him the authority to do whatever it takes to fix this unforgivable mistake and keep an eye on Jiang Hao. Meanwhile, Jiang Hao returns home with lilies for Qingqin, unable to get that damn yacht out of his head. He's freaking out about the price because he has to pay off his massive debt to that woman as soon as possible. Suddenly his phone rings like hell's bells. It's calling Nan. Before he can answer properly, Qingqin appears behind him like a ghost, asking in that suspicious tone who he's talking to. Poor Jiang Hao is panicking and sweating, babbling that it's just some boring insurance company calling. But he forgets to put that stupid phone on silent. Now he's trembling because he fell into this massive and funny pit of hell he dug himself. Nan is on the other end of the line, listening with that dark, psychopathic grin on her face. He's roaring for the assistant to get the car ready. This spoiled, lying brat severely needs to be put in their place. Jiang Hao hangs up on him, but alone in his room, he feels the deadly guilt for cutting off that nightmare call like that. Thinking that a face-to-face debt talk would save him, he gathers his courage and calls that devil Nan again. But Nan has already turned into a bloodthirsty monster. With a lethal voice, he publicly threatens him, commanding him to step outside. He's hissing that they'll send men to break down that damn door and drag her out by her hair. Jiang Hao has a breakdown, screaming that he has no right to do such a crazy thing. But right then, he hears those eerie engine sounds coming from outside. Looking out the window, he sees the way home and those massive mafia vehicles occupying the street. She's bluffing about calling the police for harassment, but Nan challenges her to try her luck with that creepy laugh of hers. It slyly reminds you that street parking's already banned, and those stupid cops will just write a funny ticket and leave. Jiang Hao realizes he's trapped like a cat. With that damn stubbornness of his, he agrees to go out. But first, he demands that those flashy freak cars get the hell out of here. Otherwise, he'll never leave that door. Jiang Hao puts on that fake smile and lies to his chin, saying he's just going out to grab some things from the market. The girl jumps at the chance to go with him, but he refuses the dangerous offer and mumbles that he'll be right back. When she says she'll hang up and start that death march, Jin Chen's voice suddenly takes on that creepy, jealous tone. With narrowed eyes, he questions what other dark troubles she's mixed up in with that piercing gaze. Because he says he feels like someone is watching him from the shadows every second. Meanwhile, Jiang Hao is alone with the voice on the line, that psycho Nan, ordering him to stay on the phone and keep walking toward his death. In that cold voice, Nan warns him that a strange woman is standing in a dark, filthy dead-end alley 30 meters ahead on the right. The woman could be armed to the teeth. Jiang Hao spits out how much he hates the idea of facing it alone like a suicide squad, and Nana asks if he's sure he's throwing him into such a hell. Because that psycho woman will definitely attack him, thinking he's just some helpless high school brat. Then Ching Ching hits them with the chilling truth. He shouldn't worry about his own ass, but about his family being put on that bloody target. And for the sake of their damn safety, he must clean up this disgusting parasite immediately. With these words piercing his heart like a poisoned dagger, Jiang Hao walks towards death in a blind rage. But Amma is screaming in her headphones, ordering her not to get involved in this madness. He tells the victim to wait in that cursed place, and gives his assistant the dark order to fully surround that foul location with his men. Completely ignoring the pitiful look of concern on the assistant's face, he makes sure the culprit definitely won't get out of that trap alive. Going to a show alone is child's play for him. Meanwhile, our victim, about to wet themselves from fear, is rushing their savior. The terrifying moment arrives. That sickly silhouette gliding through the shadows walks toward him, as the poor boy breaks into a cold sweat, knowing his time is up. While that hooded freak hides his identity, our trembling bunny desperately questions the true identity of this sick pervert. Because you can see the madness in that maniac's eyes. Like a silent angel of death, it pounces savagely on its prey, leaving no chance for escape. The kid's pathetic escape maneuvers aren't even working. Because this psychopath is seriously trained. Furious, she notices the hooded creep scurrying away as fast as a bug. While our child is glad that deadly blow was slow, this psychopath lunges again with a second savage punch. But the lucky loser trips him at the last second, giving him a great lesson in gravity by brutally meeting his ugly face with the concrete. While pinning him down and crushing him like a bug, he forces out the sickly reason behind this psychopathic attack. The creep screams, spitting, that our character is the one responsible for his whole miserable life. Our confused bunny is completely stunned by this disgusting nonsense. She's practically begging him to take off that cowardly mask and face her with his dirty face, questioning how this disgusting rat could have ruined her life. Suddenly, that freak in the hoodie throws a punch and slips out of the grip like a snake. At that shocking moment, the truth that this isn't a man hits the poor boy's brain. A woman stands there, eyes wild with madness, her face twisted into a beast by a sickly rage, screaming savagely that she wants to drink his blood, nearly shaking the room. As he lunges with the blade from his sleeve, our terror-stricken character perfectly portrays a victim frozen in fear, waiting for death. Just as the masked psychopath is about to stab, an epic punch from the boss interrupts the scene. This crushing blow freezes that sick maniac, takes him out like a ragdoll instantly, and the knife flies out. As he's blown back, his mask flies off, and our lady boss finally recognizes that familiar, sickly face behind it. The boss is making fun of this gross mess, muttering about how his heart is broken because he never expected a street rat to crawl all this way just to cause trouble. The bewildered loser finally shows his face. The person in front of him is none other than that cheap street rat punk, the freak who was obsessed with the loser kid. Our kid says they rejected this gutless offer and insists it's really not some huge drama, so it shouldn't become an obsession. But the mad dog screams savagely, froth dripping from his mouth, that none of this would have happened if the boss hadn't seduced her. With pathetic hatred, they spew that they'll never be rejected and thrown into that trash heap like a rabid dog. He's spewing toxic insults, rambling that all men are gold-digging leeches who run like dogs when they see wealthy prey. Our child tells him point-blank that he's the real disgusting problem, and the boss is totally fed up with this nauseating drama. He steps forward and roars at the street rat, saying he's crossed the fatal red line, and despite orders to leave the loser boy alone, he's now ruthlessly tarnished the company's legendary reputation by dragging it through the filth, playing mobster by crushing the weak and extorting them. It drives home that this was an unforgivable, disgusting violation of his sacred rules from the start, and that there's no room for trash in his place. She ties her hair into her famous ponytail for the deadly show, looking at him ruthlessly as if she's going to beat him into the hospital for daring to disobey. The rabid freak gritted his filthy teeth in fury, rambling about being a bloody street fighter, and disgustingly asked with a sneer what that spoiled rich girl raised in golden cradles could possibly know about true brutality. He attacks like a rabid dog, but our boss, with absolute composure, ensures he'll pay for this insolence. He effortlessly blocks that pathetic assault, and in a jarring second, the street rat painfully and terrifyingly realizes he danced with the wrong legend. The boss is unleashing his inner demonic power. He slaps the poor thing mercilessly over and over, smashing that ugly face into the concrete like a pile of meat until it's mangled, blood spurting helplessly from his mouth. The pathetic bunny is paralyzed by shock. Now he realizes with a shock that the boss actually pitted him before, because this display of psychopathic cruelty leaves him speechless. After the cops swarm in and clear out the trash, our guy finally takes a breath into his pathetic lungs, thinking this nightmare is over. The boss is whining about being sent back to that miserable hole, terrified his sister will have a total breakdown from worry. But with an icy tone, our queen instantly reminds him with a devious smile that he stupidly forgot the real point of this meeting. He thinks it's about some naive contract nonsense, but she mockingly whispers that such boring matters will be handled later. What really matters is that an obsessive person tried to take a naked photo of her. And believe me, just this alone is dangerous enough. Frowning, Zank wonders what unemployed person in the world would chase such a sick fantasy. But Nan cunningly manages to skillfully slip away from this awkward topic. Instead, with an overly hurt tone, he slyly whispers that what really bothers him is that Zank Avkak just hung up on him. And besides, just as he's about to spew his sick plan, if she's so unwilling to talk to him, maybe it's better to leave him alone in his pathetic loneliness. Zank realizes with horror that he's fallen for Tonga's trap. Hanging his head in despair, he apologizes repeatedly with that pathetic look for hanging up on her at such a strange moment. Nan accepted the pathetic apology with an evil smirk, but there was no escaping that sick punishment. Before Zank can even catch his breath, Nan moves in with a chilling strike and latches onto his lips like a leech. Zank's rusty poor brain finally starts working with his shock. Even though he got over it, his brain was showing a blue screen, wondering if this was some perverted hallucination. A disaster like Nan kissing him. It definitely must have been a gross glitch in the Matrix. He thought about pushing her away, but realization struck. Those lips were hauntingly warm and soft. Nan was annoyingly beautiful. Most guys would literally beg for an opportunity like this. After all, he's just an ordinary teenager with raging hormones, so he gives in to fate and quietly lets things happen. But suddenly, the eerie silhouette of Ching Ching is etched into his mind. Zank realizes he's been trapped and throws the girl far away in disgust. Our hero demanded to know the dark and private reason behind this so-called innocent gift. Why did he repeatedly trick a poor high schooler like her, manipulate her, and sneakily steal her first kiss? While Nan wiped her lips with eerie calm and questioned if he was still a high school student, Jiang Hao, with his blurry mind, could never tell if it was her first kiss. He was obsessively wondering if this had a sinister meaning. With a quick shake of her head, she made it clear they shouldn't focus on that strange matter tonight. The woman had helped him. So they're perfectly even for now. Our child planned to pay this debt back to every last cent because he sent her strange donations during her live stream. He nervously asks how much all of this ended up costing. Even though Nan tells him it's just pocket change, he takes her words as a terrible insult. He's questioning if this means there's no intention to sign that contract. Jiang Hao pathetically admits that he cannot sign that paper yet. But when cornered for a logical reason, he breaks into a cold sweat and whispers that he can't explain it right now. He turns around to sneak away like a coward, mumbling that he's just exhausted. Nan is left behind in shock, standing there in total sadness. But deep down, he makes that terrible vow that he will never give up. Until Jiang Hao returns home and collapses onto the bed like a soul-sucked corpse. Her head spins like a top every time she thinks about that weird kiss. And he's obsessed with how the chinchilla's face keeps popping into his mind. Dazed by this strange paradox, he questions if he harbors forbidden feelings for his stepsister. This sick thought nauseates him so much that he giggles to himself, even though she looks at him flawlessly, like an angel. He loathes himself for having such perverted thoughts in his head. She believes he must clear these dark thoughts from his mind and focus only on his school. The next day, Jiang Hao greets Yuva with a grin when they meet. Usually dying of embarrassment, Yuva acts eerily sweet around Jiang Hao, and the boy feels quite relieved. After hanging out with a psycho like Nan, being with someone my own age is refreshing. Everything feels easier with her. Right then, Jiang Hao notices a chillingly different detail. Yuva is wearing black silk stockings, and this is the first time Jiang Hao has seen her in this dark style. The girl normally preferred to walk around in innocent whites. Jiang Hao stares off blankly. Even Yuva notices this. With a soft smile, she nudges him out of this dark thought bubble. Jiang Hao mentions he has a special gift for his instructor. Then he slowly pulls a strange keychain shaped like a miniature gun out of his pocket. The boy says he's giving this gift as a token of gratitude for the fighting lessons she gave him before. Of course, when he broke into the girl's lair, he also sneakily noticed her weapon fetish. So when he saw that weird thing while shopping, he grabbed it immediately, thinking you might like it. Yuva takes the keychain in her hand and examines it as if it were a sacred relic. She then smiles, says she loves the gift, and presses it to her chest. Inside, Jiang Hao is wrestling with a wave of senseless and dark frustration. But his obsessive mind quickly drifts back to those strange socks the girl is wearing. He's obsessing over why you chose those specific socks today and the dark, hidden reason behind it. Yuva notices these predatory stares at her legs and asks if something is wrong. Jiang Hao actually knows very well that there's no problem at all. On the contrary, they look incredibly seductive today, and the boy can't get this disturbing thought out of his obsessed head. While eating together in the music room during lunch break, Yuva suddenly starts questioning why Jiang Hao keeps staring at her legs in that creepy way. He admits he stared at those legs pervertedly all day and that it made him a bit annoyed. And then, without any shame or hesitation, he bluntly asks if she likes her legs. Jiang Hao panics as if he's about to choke on his coffee. After nervously wondering if his obsession was that obvious, he finally admits that her legs are actually quite beautiful. With an eerily calm smile, Yuva quietly turns to him, stating he can touch those legs if he wants. Jiang Hao is literally on the verge of losing his mind over this nonsense idea. But after spending time with him, Yuva clearly expressed how strangely happy she was to find someone to share lunch with. As a small token of gratitude, she's willing to let someone she trusts touch her with such a sickly intimacy. Then he asks Jiang Hao if he really wants this strange action. Jiang Hao is wrestling relentlessly with himself in that obsessed mind of his. He can never find any logical reason to refuse such a strange offer from such a sweet girl. Still, he's very afraid this will make him sound like a total clinical creep. So he decides to quickly change course and propose a devilish deal. Instead, she brazenly asks if she can sit on his lap. The girl stands up instantly. Jiang Hao cracks a wicked smile, thinking the girl's total obedience is a true gem in this massive, sick world. Then he brazenly asks if this bothers her. Yuva admits feeling a bit hesitant but also comfortable. No one has ever hugged her like this before. It is then that Jiang Hao realizes with horror that the girl is suffering from a serious lack of affection. This situation likely stems from his dark family history and that empty void in his life. Jiang Hao then craftily focuses very carefully on the cheap gun keychain in the girl's hand. He wonders in surprise why she's wearing it like a strange bracelet. With that eerie innocence and soft tone, the girl confesses that for the first time in her pathetic life, she's received a gift from a friend. He just wanted to keep her close. Yang Hao is absolutely stunned by the fact that no one has ever given him a gift before. His old leech friends only exploited him for money, but almost no one gave him anything good in return. Hearing this, Jiang Hao stops. He gives a so-called warning, saying those leeches only after your wallet can never be true friends. She warns him never to waste his precious time on that pack of parasites again, because they live only to exploit his pure and delicious innocence. Yuehua agrees, but adds that Yuan once gave her a pile of strange books and eerie movies. Even though he followed the advice and never opened those damn things, he immediately suspects his classmate might be a certified creep. But he just changes the subject right away. He says it makes more sense for that poor keychain to hang on her backpack instead of dragging in her hand, and promises to get her a proper bracelet that actually fits. Recess torture is ending, and they're both heading back to their hells. As he walks to his seat, he notices that strange and eerie thing lying right by his desk. Before he can even touch it, the troublesome class president snatches the object out of the air and starts yelling at the top of her lungs, announcing to everyone that he's a perverted, dark freak who brings disgusting toys to school. While the classroom is rocked by a shockwave, our boy just stands there frozen, completely confused with a blank stare. This damn situation is just another misunderstanding added to that endless list of problems giving him those disgusting headaches. The class president madly defends that bringing those disgusting toys into class has completely destroyed the school's so-called sacred and pure aura. Even before this, she was shamelessly accused of instigating poor girls and pitting them against each other just to have them fight over her. All those losers are clearly jealous of him, so they spread toxic, sick rumors that he's nothing but a disgusting, rotten darkness hidden beneath a handsome face. She wonders when her life turned into such a nightmare, and why she always has to defend herself against these toxic rumors. She jumps to her feet and orders the president to mind his own pathetic business and stop projecting his deep, rotten insecurities onto her. He's just struggling in the middle of a sick fit of envy and jealousy. He roars that if ours dares to pull such a pathetic, despicable stunt again, he'll personally test every brutal technique he learned in martial arts hell on him. He instantly falls back into a deadly silence, and everyone feels to their bones that he's not joking with his dark rage. When the crowd gets to Yuehua, sees his wild side, and asks what's going on, they instantly scatter like a flock of birds. Nauseated, Ilong questions who the real dark criminal is. His friends are making blood oaths to find the damn scumbag behind this disgusting nonsense. But ours coolly dictates for them all to step back, whispering that there's nothing to fuss about and adding that it might just be another poor misunderstanding. The moment she thinks it's finally all over, she finds those same disturbing toys again the next day, deep in the ranks of hell. He throws them in the trash, but this sick cycle continues nonstop for 4 to 5 disgusting days. Our boy finally turns into a dark wreck consumed by rage, questioning why he's so obsessed with brutally destroying someone's reputation. In the chaos of recess, Ilong softly whispers to him that he heard a few wimpy boys gathered in the dark corners of the hallway gossiping behind his back. They're blabbering that he's the one who brought all those perverted toys to school. Our guy persists with fury and stubbornness, even without a clue about these shady plots, because every time he opens that damn drawer, he finds a brand new, spine-chilling toy inside. 5 whole days have passed, and the psychopath behind it is spending crazy money on this trash just for his own dark agenda. Just to tarnish his name. Ilong desperately asks what the hell they're going to do now. But ours curls his lips and whispers that he has a devilish plan. And Yuehua is part of this dark game, because he'll need her innocent help. Then he quietly calls the girl over and whispers dangerous things in her ear. Yuehua approves instantly, proudly saying she can ask her assistant to drop off that secret item at school without being noticed. Later that night, the trio carries out a highly classified dark operation. They're hosting a dangerous slumber party in the school's haunting silence. They're fully committed to exposing that damn creep forever. Early the next morning, the building was deathly silent, with everyone still sweetly lost in their sleep. A loser shadow appears, sneaking into the classroom. Just as he's about to open that damn drawer, he trips a high invisible laser and triggers a deafening security alarm. Right at that second, our boy ruthlessly snaps a flash photo of that poor guy caught red-handed. That bruised face on camera is Zong, the pathetic, jealous sheriff who started a bloody fight out of spite because the girl he likes wants our guy instead of him. Zongen mocks how pathetically you've worked these past 8 disgusting days, splashing cash on those sick, weird toys just to tarnish his honorable name. With a diabolical grin, he hurls the toy right at that pathetic face, standing tall with a triumphant and crushing aura. Zong is furiously demanding the lethal secret behind the perfect ambush, but our guy just shrugs it off, mockingly muttering that it's all thanks to high-tech anti-theft systems. Then he turns to leave, whispering that they'll meet in person at that damn discipline office. Zong screams at the loyal dogs around him, ordering them to make sure he doesn't escape. Ours immediately realizes that these dark thugs are definitely not just simple street trash. They really know how to fight, and he's all alone. Zong orders them to brutally and savagely drag him across the cold toilet floor and break his bones. They're attacking brutally, but our guy is fighting back with a bloodthirsty rage. He crushes one, dodges another deadly attack, and then counters ruthlessly. Yet, it can only lay out one at a time. The third thug suddenly kicks out, and even though our guy shields his face perfectly from the fatal blow, the sheer impact sends him flying back to hit the ground hard. Just then, Yuhua arrives and sees the disgusting punk ruthlessly kicking his best friend. He dives into battle like a crazed monster. Though the punk barks at him to stay away, he doesn't care about that nonsense. Ours is trying to stop him before he makes a terrible bloody mistake, but it's already too late. Yuhua releases that dark hellish rage within. She pushes the disgusting thug, kicks him brutally in the face, and crushes him with chilling divine power. In that moment, he looks like a completely different wild person. The gang flees in utter terror. Even if one of them cries out, piteously begging for mercy, Yuhua's dark, feral wrath does not stop. Jian Chao is forced to physically restrain the girl from Xvanadin, making it clear that her end won't be pretty if she continues this savagery. Suddenly teachers and students burst into the room and find Yuhua standing over the thugs, who are covered in blood and sweat. Our protagonist is fully aware that this view will bring disaster. Later, the school management exposes that Jung personally planted those damn banned substances to sabotage the lead's reputation in a disgusting scandal. The evidence is rock solid. Jung will get what he deserves. But violence-addicted Yuhua is severely punished for fighting his classmates to the death. As Jiang Hao and his sidekick Yilong watch the girl being carted off from school like a criminal, they wonder deep down about her fate and if she'll survive. As rumors spread of him putting 2 unlucky kids in the hospital, Jiang Hao can't see an end to this brutality. His damn parents and teacher are total dictators. They could lock him back in that cursed house. Even so, ours prays desperately that this bloody incident doesn't turn into a greater disaster, and hopes that the girl somehow survives. The weather is getting nasty. Ours is dripping wet coming home. While his father hands him a towel with a look of complaint, he's scolding him like a paranoid man upset that his son was stranded in this storm, constantly grumbling about why he didn't call ahead. Listing disaster scenarios where he gets pneumonia. But Jiang Han doesn't give a damn right now. He grabs the towel and sprints off toward his dark den, leaving his poor father alone with doubts about his son's neurotic outbursts. Dressed in dry clothes, our hero wastes no time searching for that crazy girl. When the phone picks up, he hears the girl's shaky, tear-stricken, and pathetic voice deep down. Our hero, with anxiety peaking, starts questioning like crazy right away, asking what's wrong and if someone has hurt her. The girl eerily mentions that her location is in total pitch darkness. Frowning, Jiang Hao investigates exactly where the hell he is, as he expected his tyrannical family to have locked him in a mental asylum by now. The girl confesses her psycho mother locked her in a basement isolation cell. Our protagonist is horrified to discover such a torture chamber exists in that ordinary house. It seems whenever the girl makes a small mistake, her mother punishes her by locking her in this claustrophobic isolation cell to cleanse her soul. Just so he can think about his mistakes. Now he must rot for exactly 2 days in that coffin-like, cramped, freezing, pitch-black, and terrifying dungeon. A strange and sickly constriction settles in Jiang Kanen's chest. He's trying to test her by implying the only crazy thing she'd do is stay up all night with him. He suggests finding a random topic to distract her. The girl whispers as if begging him to pull his own mind away from this madness. Then he tries to get a pathetic promise that she won't turn off her phone tonight. Our hero, with great grace, reassures the poor girl. He clearly states there's no damn school tomorrow, so he'll be guarding it, and even talking about that freakish novel he's secretly working on. Sniffling, he realizes his own fragile body has also caught a cold. But with a fake smile, he says if he suddenly falls into a deathly silence, there's only one logical explanation. And him passing out. He strangely warns her that if such a tragedy occurs, she shouldn't hang up, but just leave it open and settle for its chilling digital presence. And then, she starts telling a fairy tale. The title of his work is The World of Real Men. In this dystopia, men are like savage gods with six-packs and massive biceps, while women are purely domestic slaves. While men dance with death, women worship them. The protagonist is a reborn, immortal, arrogant maniac, the universe's strongest, most unique alpha male, programmed to purge the world of evil. Of course, during this selfish journey, he encounters many beautiful, gentle, and attractive women. Everyone worships his exaggerated, sick power that destroys countless villains, and there's never an end to the freak enemies waiting to be destroyed in Jiang Hao's ridiculous fairy tale. The girl says this story is a direct mirror image of their own warped reality. He claims this is the most unreal nonsense because men are helpless insects who can't even lift a brick, while women are the true power, and it's only fair that they protect the men. And they must be the ones to save the world. This absurd thought sends the girl into fits of laughter. Our wimpy Jiang Hao doesn't get angry at these blatant insults at all. On the contrary, he smiles with a strange masochistic pleasure while listening to the girl's psychopathic laughter. With an extremely eerie calm, he emphasizes that the world is no longer the same. The girl who's still mocking him still makes a damn promise to read this trashy novel. He's even asking if he can leak a new skin. The goal is to tear the work apart with criticism. Our man bows down, desperately agreeing to personally send these cursed pages the next day if Her Majesty so desires. Then, wondering if you're still terrified in that dark room, he politely pries into what other psychopathic hobbies you have in your spare time. The two spend the night with this freakish conversation. The next morning, our hero opens his eyes as if waking from a coma with an immense weight in his brain, and realizes a terrifying truth: there's an icy, unsettling wetness on his forehead. When he blinks, he finds Chin-Chin standing over him like a ghost with a glass of water. He whispers quite calmly that he came to wake her for breakfast, but seeing her burning up, he brought her some suspicious meds. Jiang Hao mumbles that he's turned completely to jelly. In this twisted world, he realizes that the male body is pitifully fragile. It senses that at the slightest struggle, your system collapses so pathetically. While admitting he's too weak to give up his soul, Chin-Chin gets dangerously close and offers a beyond disgusting solution. If he won't eat, he'll feed him mouth to mouth. Jian Kaon's eyes widen in shock. He braces for the disaster, realizing she's about to lock lips with him. But that harassing kiss never actually happens. Because it's all just a sick dream born from Jian Kao's fevered mind. Even in his dreams, he's pathetically trying to resist. He keeps giving desperate, hollow moral lectures about how they shouldn't engage in such immoral, deviant acts because they're supposedly siblings. Even the dream version of Chin-Chin is stunned. He's trying to figure out what happened to this freak and how his brain got so fried. Whether he needs to be rushed to the doctor immediately. In that embarrassing moment of realization, Nari Jiang Hao shocks herself, realizing she was just talking in her sleep. He couldn't believe the embarrassing nonsense coming out of his own mouth. And right in front of your one and only sister. Rather than shame, he accepted that he needed pathetic help to be scraped off the floor. Fuming with shame at being so weak, his face turned tomato red and burned like fire. Chin-Chin noticed his writhing embarrassment in a second. Turning to him calmly, she ordered him to gulp down his disgusting porridge. She wanted him to swallow his food piping hot, using the lie that it would be good for his stomach. With his poor mind, Jiang Hao wondered if other sisters showed such sickly attention to their brothers. The chilling truth was that they weren't even related by blood. Yet the woman continued to envelop him with an obsessive affection, as if he were her own property. Finally, he couldn't help but ask why he was treating him with such abnormal kindness. After all, he was just an ordinary parasitic brother. Chin looked at her with a chilling smile, making her feel like a special sacrifice worth every bit of suffering. If our poor little one would only submit, his terrifying big sister was more than ready to care for him forever, just like a baby. Then he made that move, demanding she open her mouth like an obedient dog to be fed by his own hands. Our main character was panicking, because this mushy brother talk had crossed every line. The strange atmosphere felt less like affection and more like a perverted marriage proposal. He quickly snatched the bowl from the woman's claws and muttered that he could eat on his own. But deep down, he sensed that Chin enjoyed putting him in such embarrassing, pathetic situations. Maybe he was getting paranoid, but the woman's concern felt more burning and dangerous than a simple family bond. He told her to get back to work and not to worry, because he would recover after sleeping it off for a bit. But his obsessed sister stubbornly refused to leave our main character alone in his pathetic, vulnerable state, especially while he was so exhausted. He made it clear he wasn't in the mood for anything else, and that he'd stand guard by her bedside while she slept soundly. After quite some time, our poor loser character woke from his deathly sleep with his body somewhat recovered. But he realized with horror that Chin was still sitting right beside him, holding a book. The aura she carried was like an invisible leash controlling every cell of her body. With such a terrifying guardian nearby, ours thought they'd never be able to sleep peacefully again, because all his senses were on edge whenever he was around her. Despite this, just 5 minutes later, he passed out again as if back in a coma. Hearing his pathetic snoring, Chin glanced at him, and quietly wondered to herself why he resisted so stupidly. Did this brat really despise him that much? On the other hand, lounging arrogantly on her luxury sofa, she was completely lost in thought, dreaming of Jiang Chao's fiery, wild spirit and reminiscing about the kiss they shared. He couldn't stop thinking about how pitifully cute the brat looked while apologizing and saying thanks. This was a first in his life. Despite his deep-seated, massive arrogance, this punk kid somehow managed to seem strangely submissive toward her. Jiang Chao was the most unstable, bizarre creature he had ever known. With his mind racing wildly, he lit a toxic cigarette. In that moment of smoky, eerie silence, I think he was realizing a devastating truth. She had a massive crush on that little punk. Just then, Jiang Chao jumps awake to his phone's disgusting vibration, instantly and shrewdly suspecting a stalker's harassment. When he answered the call in anger, there was a deathly silence on the other end. He growled, making it clear that if they kept acting mute, he'd hang up the phone in a second. That's the moment he finally spoke. Our main character was right to suspect a pervert. He growled with extreme irritation, demanding to know what was going on and whether she was trying to play mind games with him again. While she mumbles her pathetic excuse about not being able to sleep, our loser lead glares at the clock and calls her a total psychopath for harassing a high schooler at 2 o'clock in the morning. If he wasn't sleepy, was she asking him to sing a lullaby like he was a baby? Or read him a silly bedtime story? The woman hissed for him to watch his mouth, but the brat didn't back down and shot back ruthlessly. He bluntly told him it was foolish to expect manners after waking people up at 2 a.m. Without further ado, he growled and asked flatly what the hell she wanted from him at this hour. When the woman slyly hinted that he learned all those cheap fighting tricks from that girl Yuehua, our character instantly asked if she was back to stalking him like a creep again. She said the girl was just a pathetic mid-tier, and that he should obey her instead, working with her team of professional killing machines. He explained that the kid already has a solid foundation and, with the right guidance and the right torture, he could easily turn into a world-class monster. No ordinary person could ever achieve such massive fame on their own. But our guy wasn't falling for any of that. Because he clearly remembered how she once tried to turn him into a disgusting pop clown, and now she wanted to turn him into a cheap, savage dog of the bloody arenas. He was well aware that the woman was only gaining time for her own devious plans. So she coldly whispered that she had zero interest in his disgusting brainwashing operations and stubbornly wanted to keep their toxic distance. Anyway, he used to hit the gym with Yuehua at school, and for some reason, he actually enjoyed those pathetic sessions. He gave the curse woman a brutal warning not to call again, snarling that he would ruthlessly block her number. Nan slyly changed the subject and immediately asked if the punk was fooling around with another poor girl. But our punk gave a razor-sharp response. The woman breathed a sigh of perverted relief, thinking they were just fighting normally. But what the devious woman didn't know yet was how those two losers got so close, and how their stupid friendship was secretly catching fire. When she woke up the next morning, she was still wearing those pathetic pajamas. When he opened his eyes, he saw the creepy note from his obsessed sister ordering him to wear a thick jacket. At that moment, he realized with horror that the Chinchin, with obsessive meticulousness, had already prepared a separate coat for him in the corner, having sickeningly calculated even the possibility of him waking up at night. Our guy desperately felt his obsessive sister treated him like a helpless baby, yet he wouldn't trade that sickly affection for the world. Soon after, there was a knock on the door, and Chinchin burst in, craftily begging for her help to choose that damn dress she'd wear to the party. The woman dangled two dangerous options, but the loser's mind had completely slipped away. What he focused on definitely wasn't those stupid pieces of cloth. Instead, it was her daring nightgown, a brazen sight that jolted him back to reality. In the end, they decided on that damn dress together. While Chinchin accepts this with pure joy, the moment he turns his back, our hero catches a glimpse of that damn lower back tattoo. Though this mysterious ink stain gnaws at his mind, the girl has already vanished into thin air. In that tragic farewell scene the next morning, she is confined to the house due to a flu hitting her frail body. Ours quickly accepts this pathetic state and falls right into the dark arms of loneliness. Those sick gears inside your brain are starting to turn. The boring monotony of his old world, and that sickening longing for the people he left behind, are weighing on him. Though this new universe offered him strange blessings, he never forgets that obsessive vow to line his pockets with gold and return to the gutter he came from. Unfortunately, every poor trick he tried so far ended in failure, and he couldn't find a shortcut to build a fortune. Then suddenly, that evil light bulb pops up in his mind. If that low-life mafia scum snitched on the target named Liu Xian, he could get his filthy hands on that massive 50,000 yen reward. He goes straight to the station and shamelessly demands his blood money. The officer across from him smiles as if eyeing his prey. He's giving those sneaky looks, showing he never forgot that sweet face. But because of that damn student ID, that sweet cash flow can't happen instantly. He has to overcome those sickening bureaucratic hurdles piled in front of him and endure this torture for at least 30 long days. Our hero is desperately shoving his ID in their faces to prove he's a grown man. But the system's cold wall hits you right in the face. Rules are final. On the verge of breaking, our hero seeks an escape from this bureaucratic hell to find that secret door where he can get his money instantly. The official hesitates at first, his manner suggesting he must guard the identity of the bounty's true claimant as if it were a sacred secret. Still, it leads him straight into the dark den of the Feng Hong conglomerate. Our hero feels in his bones that this will be a massive headache, but he helplessly gives in. Back at the main building, Nan hears the sweet tip-off from the station and learns her victim has walked right into her trap. Hearing that his prey was sent straight to his office, Nan smiles with the psychopathic pleasure of getting revenge for that arrogant hang-up last night. The poor victim now had no choice but to beg at their feet for those damn pieces of paper he so desperately needed. Everything was working perfectly according to this devious woman's twisted plans. Meanwhile, just outside the door, our hero's massive ego was crumbling to pieces. The disgusting humiliation of having to beg like a dog for pennies tore his soul apart. His pride was dying. After a deep sigh, he turns to a passerby. While he tries to find a way to that hell at the top, the girl he meets wonders if he's in this cursed building for a family visit. This arrogant character, who claims to track everyone's history in the building, thinks he even looked for his father. But there's a terrible truth that our hero's innocent mind cannot grasp. This weird girl developed a sickly obsession with him from the first second, sneakily following him to the elevator to take advantage of his sweetness. Forcing its presence into his private space, it overwhelms our hero with a strange sense of unease, leaving him in a cold sweat. Our guy tries to shake her off by implying he might not recognize the person he's looking for, but this clingy girl insists she's practically a walking guide to the building. Cornering him in that tiny cabin, this predator begins harassing the boy, staring brazenly at his face and body while asking those vile, perverted questions that cross every line. Feeling the cold claws of harassment, our hero desperately prays to all the gods to let the earth swallow her whole. When that endless elevator torture finally stops at the top, our victim tries to politely slip away from this nightmare, only to have their hands suddenly grabbed. Girl, she starts shamelessly puking all that sickening love at first sight nonsense right to his face. Hysterically making it clear he'll never find another prey like her, he shamelessly declares his twisted feelings right then and there. At that cursed moment, the elevator doors slide open, and there stands Nam, furious as if he just clawed his way out of hell. Faced with our hero's total indifference, the harassing girl freezes in fear while Nan, without even blinking, instantly orders that poor employee to be kicked out of the building. Kicked out after that disgusting harassment during work hours, the girl kneels right there and pleads pathetically just to save her job. But our hero, opting for unnecessary chivalry, tries to soften the blow by implying this small harassment wasn't such a deadly sin. But in his searing rage, he's practically tearing his victim apart with his eyes for defending this street slut. The poor girl is sobbing in tears, terrified by the firm's brutal market dominance, knowing this black mark will slam every door in the industry in her face. No longer able to stand this cheap drama, our hero grabs him by the collar and brutally drags him away from the sniveling wretch. Leaving the girl crawling helplessly on the ground, he tries to oppose this senseless psychopathic violence while attempting to understand what's wrong with the woman. But he slams the door shut and ruthlessly pins his prey between the wall and his own body. With that hellfire burning in your eyes, she wants to hold you madly accountable for daring to shamelessly flirt with other females in your own kingdom. Our columnist, marveling at the woman's warped imagination, questions to her demeanor how such disgusting harassment could be perceived as flirting. But the reality was a complete fiasco. He himself was the one sacrificed, cornered, and terribly abused. He mistook the girl's sick behavior for a naive attempt at friendship. Our hero, foolish enough to think he was helping her despite those perverted words, pushes past Nana's overbearing body and insolently slips into the office. It feels like total stupidity to fire someone over such a simple incident. With Nan's persistent and skeptical pressure continuing, he admits she's being a bit clingy. But his body language screams that his boss doesn't care one bit about the details of this odd conversation. When he spreads out comfortably on the sofa, Nan, cornered by his boldness, is forced to back down and gives in, taking her seat right across from him. The woman's icy demeanor clearly proves how perfectly our hero toys with her nerves and pushes her limits. Our guy's pervert radar catches the woman's black stockings at that moment. It was one of those damn weaknesses he could never resist. Despite her unbearable, psychotic personality, he silently acknowledges that flawless physique sculpted by intense training. But suddenly, a much darker thought begins to gnaw at his mind. Is that dress length a joke, man? It's truly scary that someone always ready to fight isn't afraid of flashing and stirring up the whole neighborhood. When Nan catches his lecherous gaze and realizes the target of his voyeuristic eyes, Jiang Hao guiltily looks away, but she seems to actually enjoy this disgusting situation. He leans back, shamelessly spreading his legs a bit wider, pushing the limits. On top of that, he sets a devilish condition and gives our son a sick challenge just to save that poor girl's job. He sets a rule that our son must catch the toxic stick in midair with his right hand as he drops it with his left. He says if he catches her before that, he'll change his mind about firing the girl. Blindly trusting his own reflexes, Jiang Hao jumps at this strange offer. Realizing she got what she wanted, Nan grins wickedly and suddenly drops the cigarette butt into the void without even bothering to count down. Our son, who has no time to object, steps forward and parries the woman's move, trapping the cigarette in his palm before she can even touch it. Victory is theirs, but Nan, reeling from the sudden move, collapses onto him, and the two tumble awkwardly onto the sofa. While ours barely grasps what happened, the woman, accepting defeat, cynically admits she lost. Even if the boy's silence says she's just an obsessed person looking for excuses to touch him, he is morbidly satisfied. When his hand involuntarily brushes against her leg in a disgusting mix of weakness and courage, and pushes him back instantly in disgust. With those red marks on his face, she labels him a creep, telling him to behave and questioning where he finds the nerve to touch a woman like that. But ours shamelessly tries to brush off this disturbing situation by claiming he was only defending himself. He almost forgot the fact that with a single slap to her head, she could lose half the teeth in her jaw. He cleverly shuts down this dangerous topic by reminding them he caught the rod, so he can't fire the girl. Then he brazenly tells her to get off his lap, or he'll start to think she has a secret obsession with him. She notes that's not the real issue, but the chilling fact that he might be the most attractive man she's ever met. She admits she's never seen someone so strong, brave, and responsible, and that's what makes him different. Giving a devious smile, our son suggests that if he likes it that much, it should be dismantled immediately for 50K. Implying they could go their separate ways, Nam suddenly jumps up and panics, running to the bathroom saying he needs to be alone. While Ours thinks he's just buying time to regain control, his phone vibrates. It's her stepsister, Chin, calling. That annoying tone, questioning if you're resting at home like a good dog because your previous calls went unanswered. Jiang Hao quickly makes up a pathetic lie, claiming he was at Yelong's house for homework and will return soon. Sounding worried, Chin reminds him that he's still sick and orders him to get home immediately. She adds that she'll be late because of her own business party. At that moment, our girl standing by a club door meets her friend and slips inside. When the girl next to him points to the tattoo on his back and asks what it means, a chilling smile appears on Chin's lips. Yuhua steps in and admits that mark bears the name of a highly significant figure the person is obsessed with. As his eyes drift back to the open call screen, it's revealed that the tattooed name perversely belongs to his own brother. Fortunately, the dazed sister has no idea the line is still open. Even though Jiang Hao can't hear the tattoo part due to the disgusting noise in the venue, he happens to catch that awkward moment the question was asked. Putting down the phone, our boy notices the crushed poison stick in his palm and lights it on fire with a senseless urge. Surprisingly, it leaves a morbidly pleasant aftertaste. For a moment in the soft smoke, he falls into the illusion that it looks dark and sinister. When he looks up, he faces Nanino's eerie transformation, having stepped out of the bathroom after shedding his socks and most of his clothes. He realizes this woman is a dangerous type, shameless, confident, and stunningly beautiful, who doesn't move without flaunting her looks. In fact, she could easily rival her stepsister with her physical traits alone. Right then, Nanny's eyes catch the lit cigarette. As she scrunches her face and says babies shouldn't use tobacco, her fake maternal warmth is truly sickening. Seeing that gross control fetish over the child resurface, Jiang Hao makes a funny defense that he's just watching the flame and smelling the smoke. Then she tilts her head and asks that unsettling question of why he suddenly felt the need to undress inside. When questioned if she was up to other shady business in the bathroom, the woman doesn't deny it. He emphasizes she's just an ordinary girl and tells her to stop seducing him, otherwise he'll need more cold shower fantasies just to calm down. As our boy's mind is instantly corrupted, he drifts into a swamp of twisted fantasies, wondering if the woman inside is touching herself while thinking of him. He shakes off the thought of how depraved a woman's imagination can get, and mumbles that everything should be forgotten. His only goal is to rip you off. With a smug grin, he tells him to forget the cash, pointing at the cigarette butt and saying it's worth 60,000. Our son freezes in terror, paralyzed as if the ground swallowed him whole, shocked how a single cigarette butt could be worth 60,000. Was it even filled properly? While you're fooling yourself thinking he's lying just to grab the cash, Nan chips in with that annoying calmness of hers. He says if you don't believe it, you can check that damn price online. Poor Jiang Hao's brain is short-circuiting, and he's on the verge of losing it. After all that nonsense, he's left with absolutely nothing, all because he was stupid enough to light that damn cigarette just to smell it. Just to breathe in that nasty smoke. Then Nan suddenly starts laughing psychotically. Jiang Hao grimaces and grumbles that it's not funny. The woman adds that the sky-high price is real, but she's not a stingy jerk, and will pay for it. He hands her an envelope. Ours jumps right on it, accepting that the woman might be grumpy and a total control freak, but at least she's a woman of her word. Then Jiang Hao meekly admits he might have overreacted a bit, but adds that she totally deserved it for mocking him and pushing his buttons. He talks nonsense about how their dirty pasts can be erased, and how they should see much less of each other's disgusting faces in the future, because that's the only way the woman can be more productive. Then he gives her that dramatic farewell, as if it would last forever. Sarcastically reminding him that he's frozen, she tells him to take good care of himself in this damn rain. He turns around and leaves, wondering why fictional bosses are always such possessive, socially awkward weirdos, and starts questioning deep down if he actually likes that strange woman named Nan. Meanwhile, Nan's on the phone with the creep who stood her up, but instead of getting mad, she finds this sick joke funny, making it clear she'll catch up and sneak up on them soon. She's sitting at home chatting with her friend, eagerly showing off creepily cute photos of her stepbrother Zankao. It explains that they've known each other since early childhood and have a strange bond, and that she secretly took so many photos while he was unaware or just enjoying himself that she built a massive obsession album from these shots. From infancy to adulthood, this collection is like an eerie stalker's shrine. Chin stubbornly argues it's perfectly normal to collect photos of someone as sweet as Zankao, and gives the terrifying news that this creepy archive will definitely keep growing. The most tragicomic part is that he no longer needs to be a creep in secret corners. He can brazenly snap photos of his poor victim named Zankao whenever he wants, and could even demand that he strike a pose. Then our victim Zankao drops by, and the poor kid starts wondering why our pervert, who was supposed to be at a party, came home so early. Then he notices the guest and greets them innocently. Our obsessed girl suddenly realizes that at that exact second, she's incredibly close to being caught red-handed, and will be branded as the disgusting creep she truly is. Chin must do whatever it takes to hide that damn album from her victim's innocent hands, but her idiot friend is just drooling over how cute and handsome the guy is. Our main character brutally pinches the girl's stomach. He savagely warns him to behave, or he'll definitely ruin everything. Our poor prey, Zankao, can't see that deadly glare flashing through the air. Panic-stricken, our girl tries to fix the situation, pathetically stammering that it's nothing and making up a lie that they were just looking at some weird bibliography. She's panicking, signaling her bestie to destroy that damn album, and soon enough, her thick-headed accomplice finally gets the message, hides the book, and shamelessly spews disgusting lies right to his face. But our victim gets too curious, sticking their nose into what kind of literature they're dealing with, babbling about how much they love books. Our creep takes a step in a panic, but sweating bullets, he trips and falls right onto his target, the kid. With survival instincts, he catches the girl at the last second, while she, fueled by guilt, brazenly questions why the kid isn't asleep and why he's back home so late. The kid skillfully makes up the lie that he was bored at home and ran out for some fresh air, while knowing full well the truth. He's hiding the disgusting truth about meeting Nano. Chin, the obsessed stepsister who smells a lie, corners her victim and interrogates them. It's digging into the cause of that miserable, sickly look on your face. With paranoid pleasure, she always wonders if the wild women on the street are harassing this poor boy and if he's trembling with fear. He tries to brush off this needle's concern, stating that he knows martial arts and can always protect his frail body perfectly. He pulls them away from those boring studies and retreats into his lair. Meanwhile, Chin's naive friend ignorantly wonders why the creepy, perverted album isn't being shown to her stepbrother. Yet he had done it as if he worshipped her. Chin orders her to know her place and mind her own petty business, threatening her not to harbor any perverted fantasies about Jiang Hao, or she will personally destroy this pathetic friendship with great pleasure. The victim, trembling with fear, swears that they will never cross that dangerous line and tells the great lady she has nothing to worry about. In this madhouse, Jiang Hao has retreated to his den, pondering that cursed exhaustion sucking his soul away. Every time she meets with Nan, she notices with horror that pervert's silhouette peeking at their house with a fearful look. Once again he's questioning his disgusting hunting methods, and this nightmare feels much worse because the man in front of him is truly a pervert. To realize, tragically, and ponder in despair how she draws freaks and perverts of every gender like a lightning rod. It's starting. Telling the great Chin about this perversion might just save lives. While their parents are on a business trip, they never ever want to see a bloody tragedy or a terrible disaster happen. Now that the useless extra is finally gone, Chin focuses like a predator on his prey, muttering about some weird business he needs to take care of. When asked why he isn't sleeping, Jiang Hao coldly admits that he saw a creepy stalker dressed as a ghost wandering outside their home. He warns her to be extra paranoid when stepping outside. After all, you never know which psychopathic creeps are lurking in the shadows these days, drooling in wait. Unfazed by this horrific situation, Chin Chin pets his head like a loyal pet, taking secret pleasure in his morbid anxiety, and tells him to stay calm and not worry. Because the guy outside was just one of her weird suitors. I mean, it was the same shameless guy who sent her that incredibly disturbing, uncensored creep shot in the chat. Jiang Hao read this that night. Jiang Hao instantly remembered that perverted maniac and had Comrade Chin Chin check if he was a disgusting stalker. He senses that strange individual is practically a walking disaster. Our stepsister sighs helplessly and accepts the situation. The lady is secretly fuming over this ridiculous crisis. Our hero, meanwhile, is more than willing to run all her errands like a free servant. Our opportunistic girl instantly leans on the boy's shoulder with a sneaky smile. Oh, poor him, he's so tired and needs a little emotional support. Yeah, tell it to someone who cares. The guy finally realizes that this girl is clinging to him like she's addicted to touch. Then the girl grabs his chin gently yet eerily, as if inspecting her prey. He takes pleasure in pointing out that she's blushing like a tomato. Ours is panicking, red with shame, desperately trying to twist and deny this tragicomic reality. Instead of lying through her teeth to stay another day in this madhouse, she's making up excuses to escape and get back to school. This passion for education is a lie. The devious stepbrother senses this escape plan and suddenly asks, with those terrifying, searching eyes, if he has a secret girlfriend at school to keep him entertained. It's literally making fun of the excitement of going back to school. The poor boy desperately argues, sweating, that he isn't having a secret affair and hasn't fallen for anyone yet. The hunter, disguised as the stepsister, hugs the boy suffocatingly, expressing with psychopathic affection that she only wants what's best for him and that he must never lie to her. She says it's a frustrating trouble having such a handsome stepbrother. He even desires, in a chilling whisper, that she remain entirely his forever. But she murmurs this creepy line so quietly that our naive boy doesn't even sense the danger. When the boy thinks he hears something and asks about it, our master manipulator shuts him down like it's nothing. Then he announces that he will drop off his victim at that cursed school with his own hands. The next morning, our hero drops the girl off at home. Our Cincy sister calmly declares that she'll spend today resting as well. She's wishing him luck with fake smiles. The walking newspaper waiting at school shows up instantly to summarize everything. While ours was away, the school turned into a battlefield and our poor mutant girl became the target of bullies. Our silly hero's brain is completely fried. Man, he's seriously explaining that people aren't directly making our boy the scapegoat for the tragedy. The sheep in the flock heard that a few mutants ended up in the hospital. So now everyone believes the poor girl is a monster spreading terror. They treated the girl like a leper and condemned her to a pathetic loneliness. Our drama queen boy then gets a guilt complex and swears he'll clean up this mess himself. He finds his target in an empty classroom. The poor girl lights up instantly, wagging her tail like a puppy seeing its savior. He crouches beside her and apologizes in a melancholy tone for dragging her into this disgusting link hell. Then he preaches that when such a deadly plague strikes again, they must be much more devious since they've learned their lesson. The poor mutant girl, with that chilling innocence, asks if he's afraid of her. Ours petted the girl's head like a pet lover, saying he'd never be afraid of such an obedient slave. With this illness, even a compliment is enough to make the poor girl happy. As long as her master isn't disgusted by her, she thinks she can live in this hell. When the bell rings and slavery training begins, our so-called hero girl leaves her there all alone and vanishes. When hunger kicks in, they agree on a time for lunch. The swarm of parasites around them starts spinning their toxic wheels of gossip the moment they see them. Seeing him still talking to her despite her being a potential killer, they mock his fake heroism with a touch of sarcastic admiration. When the bell rings, he attacks the food like a wild animal that's starving. The lunchbox the girl opened practically radiates wealth and the tear-jerking luxury of the elite. Presenting a meal to our starving hero. Watching the child drool, his mind literally goes numb dreaming of tasting these masterpieces created by wealthy chefs. While ours stuffs his face like an animal, the weird girl suddenly stares at his hands and, with sociopathic calmness, bluntly asks if she can touch them. Our boy is stunned by how creepily direct the girl is, and his cheeks begin to burn with embarrassment. He wonders who taught her this strange initiative. Staring blankly, the girl dully states that no one taught her this, she just wanted to try it with an instinctive obsession by watching hands. After a split-second brainstorm, the boy reaches out with a wicked grin. He mumbles that it's a stroke of luck he asked her, and not someone else, this crazy request. Because if he had asked that stupid friend of his, he'd have been labeled a creep instantly. Our opportunist hungrily relives that daring web of events from their previous strange encounter in his mind. Supposedly, our daughter politely let him touch her legs. Now, as their hands lock, they feel their skin fit together with a sickly perfection, as if a diabolical contract has been signed. Playing innocent, the girl complains with a blank stare about how her bullying classmates mock her for being as boring as a nun since she's never been kissed. Or complaining about being left out because they weren't holding hands. Our teenage philosopher arrogantly explains that some fools mistake early encounters for a cool status symbol. But it's nothing more than a disgusting display. He tells the girl to ignore the barking of that vile pack. Right then, the girl strangely withdraws into her shell. And dropping that bombshell question, he shamelessly begs her for a kiss. The boy is shocked by this psychotically daring request. But seeing the hope under that mask of innocence, he realizes a simple kiss could wipe away her strange guilt trauma and secretly agrees to it. After all, he is a great catch, and the girl's name is Dirinaga, and who could resist such a dangerous charm? As the gap closes, the clever boy takes the reins. Since it's his first time, he says he'll handle things himself. He whispers that he'll act like a gentle but dominant alpha, and that she can close her eyes if she feels shy. He ratchets up the tension, never breaking that last millimeter of dangerous space between them. In that moment, time literally freezes. Our boy falls into a strange trance like a seasoned flirt, and can't help but start kissing the girl with great passion. Feeling the heat of this morbid bond, their pulses race wildly, each touch of their lips sending invisible electric waves that set the air on fire. The sudden knock on the door terrifies the child. But luckily, our sneaky girl played it safe and already locked the door. A few girls are trying to sneak in like a pack of starving wolves at the door. Our boy, meanwhile, feels that deep sense of relief from dodging the raid, thanks to the clever precaution taken by the mutant girl. And he avoids being humiliated. He smugly thinks that the girl finally kissed someone and can satisfy her ego by standing tall against those bullies. Yuhiha, filled with shameless confidence while still flushed from the fire of the kiss, suddenly grabbed her hand brazenly and pressed it right against his chest, onto that trembling heart. With his heart pounding as if to tear through his chest and that gut-wrenching throb in his throat, he wondered if he had caught some strange, fatal disease. Jiang Hao realized with horror that he was made to touch the girl's chest and had a brief moral panic. But he sneakily convinced himself it was just an euphoric reaction. Deep down, he sensed that Yuhiha actually enjoyed that disturbing kiss and even liked it. Yuhiha cheekily asked if they could kiss more often. He loved the rapid heartbeat and that disgusting feeling of heat. Jiang Hao stumbled, caught off guard by the complexity of his own thoughts. He noticed she didn't quite get that kissing was a weird ritual for couples, but he didn't care one bit about her annoying ignorance. He slyly promised her that, as long as he got her approval first, he would teach her every weird thing one by one when the time came. But for now, they had to scarf down their lunches. Meanwhile, sitting in his mansion, Yuhiha numbly scrolled down through the sick, strange videos Yang sent. She craved excitement, but felt only a vast void compared to the sickly throb of that strange kiss with Jiang Hao. Remembering his devious promise to teach her new filth, she grabbed her phone and called him. Just as Jiang Hao was about to shower, he quickly answered this strange call. He asked what she wanted, but as her naughty mind flashed to a kiss, she felt unusually strange, sensitive, and vulnerable. Yeva, after watching the sick video Yen sent, explained that her heart didn't race at all and fearfully wondered if she had some fatal, strange glitch. Jiang Hao instantly realized with horror that Yen was making him watch pure filth, trying to corrupt and poison an innocent, common-sense-lacking person like Yeva. Blushing with shame, Yeva admitted it felt strange to ask such immoral nonsense, and quickly said that if he didn't like it, she would never bother him with her filth again. Jiang Hao reassured him, saying he was secretly pleased that he had come for this. He said not to worry since it didn't go to a stranger, as talking about these perverted topics doesn't bother him one bit. But first, he had to hop in that damn shower. Yeva suddenly bolted out of bed like a maniac, insisting on showering too, and gleefully offered to stay online and talk shamelessly throughout the disgusting process. While stripping down to this madness, Ganga asked what the hell Yeva wanted to talk about, all while worrying over his barely visible poor abs. Because maintaining these damn muscles was a deadly ordeal. She also slyly warned Yeva to be extra careful not to get that stupid phone wet. He put it down slowly. Completely alone and naked, Yeva loses it and narrates every single action to himself. He describes how he soaps his hair and skin with a strange detail. Jiang Hao, as if hypnotized, joins in this creepy ritual exactly. Noticing the front of your hair has grown a bit too long, he starts questioning with a hint of mockery whether you want to trim those annoying strands. He thinks talking like this feels weird. This dangerous and stiflingly intimate moment strangely makes her cheeks flush. Meanwhile, Chin sneaks into Jiang Hao's den with fresh sheets. When he hears whispers from inside, he starts questioning who his victim is talking to with that disturbing curiosity of his. He's really obsessed with whether she has a boyfriend at school. She finishes the laundry and dives into Jiang Hao's room to gather info like a sick detective. Like a bird of prey, he texts Yelong to ask about the girls chasing Jiang Hao. Yelong confirms that the prey is exceptionally handsome and everyone is drooling over him. But he's relieved to find out there's no threat of a boyfriend around. With a sickly smile of victory, he puts his phone aside and focuses on his devious plans. Jiang Hao being alone. He sees it as a devilish opportunity to strike his prey and make that long-awaited dark move. She shamelessly curls up on his bed while waiting for her prey to get out of the shower. Meanwhile, Jiang Hao, unaware of anything, tells Yuehua on the phone that her job is now completely finished. She's clearly searching the web for weird, steamy fantasy stories to send to him. Because he sincerely believes reading a literary perversion is much safer than watching those inappropriate little videos that don't teach kids how to survive. At that chilling moment he steps into Jiang Hao's room, he notices a strange movement on the bed. When he lifts the sheet, he finds the clingy Chin pretending to sleep. In shock, Django frantically asks what this cheeky intruder is doing in his bed. The girl wears a mask of fake innocence, clearly making it felt that she sneaked in there under the guise of just watching a movie. Supposedly, she fell asleep while waiting for him. Trapped, panicked, and flushing deep red, Django trembles and says he'll be ready in a moment. They could have watched that damn movie downstairs anytime anyway. Then, sweating buckets, he began searching the dark corners of the internet for naughty and steamy reads. Even though he knew he shouldn't, Jiang Hao attacked Yuehua. However, since this was an oddly sensitive matter, he convinced his own twisted mind to prioritize the devious Chin over Yuehua for now. China questioned what kind of film genre he wanted to watch. The girl didn't have a specific obsession in mind, but she was definitely more than ready for a chilling psychological horror film. Jiang Hao said he'd take a quick shower and turn off all the lights to lurk in the living room's eerie darkness, waiting for her like a creepy predator. To create that unsettling atmosphere for the film, Jiang Hao sat in the dark living room, sinking into deep, morbid thoughts about his pathetic past life. It used to be that when a man and a woman watched a horror movie together, the girl would hide in the man's arms during the scary scenes. But in this strange and distorted world, things could work in a completely and embarrassingly backward way. Pitiful moments when husbands soil themselves in fear and seek refuge in a girl's arms. The problem is, since those bloody horror movies don't scare him one bit, he'll just lurk in his corner and keep enjoying the carnage. Still, the idea of hiding behind a girl makes his cheeks flush. Imagining this perverted fantasy, knowing it won't happen anytime soon. Chin sneaks downstairs wearing only an old t-shirt. Playing the innocent hunter, he slyly checks if his poor victim has picked the movie. Jiang Hao flushes instantly at the provocative sight. His mind clouds, feeling crushed under the weight of this dangerous outfit. Chin notices his prey's funny struggles and gleefully mocks her shifty glances. And Jiang Hao makes up a pathetic bridge to nowhere lie about not blushing. He's just using the heat as an excuse. But inside he's totally losing it, because he doesn't know exactly what will happen to him by the end of this weird night. If the girl gets any closer, her heart will definitely stop. That mocking and devilish look on your face is really stressing the kid out. Our master manipulator is fully aware of his devastating impact on the boy, but for now, he doesn't want his poor victim to lose his mind completely. So he's slowing down his wild game for now. Besides, during that horrible movie, the kid will be terrified and forced to hug him every damn time he jumps, which is all part of his twisted perfect plan. The cursed and creepy movie begins. Jiang Hao realizes with pleasure that he isn't the least bit afraid, despite all the violence on the screen. Yet our cunning hunter is unexpectedly afraid, trembling. Because a weird guy like him is never afraid. Even if the girl was shaking like a leaf, she never actually planned to end up in such a pathetic situation. But he can't help being scared to death. Jiang Hao strangely reassures him, saying it's normal to be creeped out by these disgusting ghosts, and adds that he shouldn't feel burdened. Even if Qingqin acts like she doesn't care about the support, she's deeply moved by Jiang Hao's fake innocence and strange kindness. That's why she's hugging him so cheekily. As Jiang Hao's heart races from this unsettling closeness, he notices the girl's strange, numbing scent. To keep from losing it, he tells himself to stay cool and push away those disgusting thoughts. That brutal moment, when his father scolded him harshly, suddenly flashes through his mind. Slipping away to create some distance, he suddenly leaves poor Qingqin all alone with a profound sense of stupidity. But he quickly changes the subject with devilish cunning. When the movie finally ends, Jiang Hao crawls up to sleep, but Qingqin grabs his hand in a chilling way. It's time to go upstairs together. Which is all part of his twisted perfect plan. The cursed and creepy movie begins. Jiang Hao realizes with pleasure that he isn't the least bit afraid, despite all the violence on the screen. Yet our cunning hunter is unexpectedly afraid, trembling. Because a weird guy like him is never afraid. Even if the girl was shaking like a leaf, she never actually planned to end up in such a pathetic situation. But he can't help being scared to death. Jiang Hao strangely reassures him, saying it's normal to be creeped out by these disgusting ghosts, and adds that he shouldn't feel burdened. Even if Qingqin acts like she doesn't care about the support, she's deeply moved by Jiang Hao's fake innocence and strange kindness. That's why she's hugging him so cheekily. As Jiang Hao's heart races from this unsettling closeness, he notices the girl's strange, numbing scent. To keep from losing it, he tells himself to stay cool and push away those disgusting thoughts. That brutal moment, when his father scolded him harshly, suddenly flashes through his mind. Slipping away to create some distance, he suddenly leaves poor Qingqin all alone with a profound sense of stupidity. But he quickly changes the subject with devilish cunning. When the movie finally ends, Jiang Hao crawls up to sleep, but Qingqin grabs his hand in a chilling way. It's time to go upstairs together. Jiang Hao feels like a hero, enjoying this strange and disturbing intimacy. For the first time, when they arrive at Qingqin's room, she shows an almost eerie resistance and waits outside. When Jiang Hao asks, the girl immediately admits she's afraid of sleeping alone with an incredibly fake and creepy shyness. Jiang Hao pauses. This sick post of yours,